Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today what we're going to be talking about is the Tundra versus the Tacoma and what's right for you and which one should you buy. I wrote down about 10 things here, I guess it is, or so like that, and we're going to be discussing between the two vehicles, and then at the end, you know, we'll kind of discuss maybe what's right for you and maybe how to pick out which one, you know, is right for you. But I do want to say I bought my Tundra mainly for the room. So I may be a little biased on the room category, which that's undeniable. There's no argument that there's more room in the Tundra. But other than that, you know, I'm pretty unbiased on everything else. I just wanted the room, which is why I went with the Tundra instead of the Tacoma. And like I said, we'll get into that later on into the video, but I did just want to throw that out there because people's going to say, well, you got a Tundra, of course you're going to pick this, that, or the other. But I wanted to tell you all that really the only reason I picked this over the Tacoma was the cavernous cabin. So let's get into this. Styling. Now, I want to say, I think the Tacoma looks a little bit better than the Tundra as far as the outside styling goes. You know, I think it's a little more sporty looking. I just think it's probably a better looking truck. I'm not sure why they didn't just take the Tacoma and make it bigger and produce the Tundra. The Tacoma was already the best selling truck, which means people liked how it looked. So why did they not just go ahead and make a bigger version look like it? I don't know. Maybe it would have sold more, maybe it wouldn't have. But I have to give the nod to styling to the Tacoma. I just think it's a little bit better looking truck. Now that being said, I do think if you're going for a full-size truck, that the Tundra is more sporty looking than like the other big three. You know, they're more off the squared off look. They're real squared. The Tundra does have a little bit of shape to it, some roundness on the sides and stuff like that. So I do think it is a more sporty truck than the big three. So if you're looking for a full-size truck, I think the Tundra is more sporty looking. But between the Tacoma and the Tundra, I think the Tacoma just gets the nod by a little bit. Next is price. Now, I looked up a couple of prices on the internet. And you may think I'm going to save all this money by going to a Tacoma. Now, I didn't go low end to low end. I actually went high end to high end. So I looked up TRD pros in both vehicles. And this is probably going to surprise you. The Tacoma TRD Pro that I found online was $48,781. You're buying a mid-sized truck for almost $50,000. That is crazy to me. Trucks have just increased in value so much, and thinking about spending 50 grand for a mid-sized truck, that's amazing. I'm not sure I could ever buy a TRD Pro Tacoma for that price. I just don't think I could do it. But the Tundra TRD Pro I found was $52,803. So you're only saving just a little over $4,000. Now, in the grand scheme of things, $4,000 when you're spending $50,000 really isn't a lot of money. I mean, if you already can afford a $50,000 truck, you can probably afford a $52,000 truck. Just throwing that out there. The $4 grand right there really isn't going to make that big a difference. So if you was going into the Tacoma and the Tundra market and you're thinking, well, the Tacoma's smaller, I'm going to save all this money, that just isn't the case, and it ain't going to happen. You're probably going to save on average about $4,000 to $6,000 at the most, depending on your dealer. But so there, in that instance, I've kind of got to give the nod to the Tundra, because you're getting more for your money. I mean, for $4,000 more dollars, you're getting a big V8, a 5.7 liter V8. You're getting all this room inside, and you know, it's just hard to beat all that. And your back glass rolls down. You don't get that in the Tacoma for $48,000, almost $49,000. So in price, just because there is such a small discrepancy between them, I've got to give that to the Tundra. So we're one Tacoma, one Tundra. Modability. I want to go ahead and say, I don't think there's too much that you can do to either one of these vehicles that you can't do to the other vehicle. There is so much stuff that you can do to both vehicles. I've seen overlanding vehicles in both vehicles with the racks on the back and the tents on top and stuff like that. I'm going to call this a wash. I've modded this truck to the point where I almost don't have anything else left to mod. I'm not even going to lie. I put so much stuff on this truck that everything left to do is getting expensive. And I imagine the Taco is the same identical way. There's, you know, the sky's the limit and your pocketbook's the limit on what you want to spend on a Tundra or a Tacoma for that matter, and what you want to do to it. You can lift them both to the sky. You can put enormous wheels and tires on them. Now, the one thing I do have to say about that is if you go up to a great big wheel and tire package, you'd almost have to give the nod to the Tundra, just because the engine you get in it would be able to pull those wheels and tires more. We'll get into that here in a minute. One other thing about larger tires and stuff like that. But, you know, I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. If you put larger wheels and tires on a Tundra and put larger wheels and tires on a Tacoma, your gas mileage might be very, very close to each other. Even though the Tundra has horrible gas mileage, the Taco does not have much better gas mileage. And if you put bigger tires on it, this big V8 is going to be able to turn those tires easier than that smaller V6, and it's going to strain that V6, and it's going to cut your gas mileage by quite a bit. So if you're looking at larger wheels and tires, you might actually get a nod to the Tundra just off that. But I'm still going to call modability a wash, because this isn't about what the gas mileage is doing. This is about what you can do to it, and the sky's the limit, like I said, on either one of them. Next is off-roading. Now, the Tacoma obviously gets the mod for off-roading. People buy Tacomas to go off-road, you know, all the time. They're so nimble, they're more narrow, the wheelbase is, you know, shorter. It's just easier to take the Tacoma off-road, get it into places, and that's why a lot of people buy Tacomas, is for that off-roading capability. And I totally understand that. If you are going for, you know, off-roading capabilities only, the Tacoma is probably the way to go. Not saying the Tundra isn't capable of that, because it surely is, but the Tacoma is by far probably going to outweigh it in the off-roading. So we're going to give another one to the Tacoma. So it is 2 Tacoma, 1 Tundra, and next is mile per gallon. The Tacoma actually does not get that great a mile per gallon, and neither does the Tundra. You know, if you got a bone stock Tundra, my buddy had one, Rob Motive. If you don't check out Rob Motive, go check him out. He has a Tundra and a Tacoma on his YouTube channel. But he drove a Tundra from Ohio to Texas, and I believe he said he got somewhere in the neighborhood of 16.5 or 16.9 per gallon on that trip with a bone stock 4-wheel drive Tundra. And now I have other friends that have bone stock 4-wheel drive Tacomas, and you know, they talk about getting 17.5 miles a gallon, sometimes 18. I mean, you're talking, they're like a mile, mile and a half a gallon a piece. I mean, that's not great gas mileage either way. And then, like I said, if you throw bigger wheels and tires on these things like most people do, the gas mileage in Tacoma may actually drop that mile and a half. It may drop 2 miles a gallon. So I'm gonna call mile per gallon a wash, because neither one of them are astronomical and they're pretty lackluster. So, and then if you mod them like most people do, you're probably in the same boat anyway. So we're calling that a wash. Still 2 Tacoma, 1 Tundra. Towing. You know, there's nothing you can say about this. You have the big V8 in the Tundra, it's just going to be able to tow more. You know, it's just going to happen. You got more power, more torque, a bigger truck. It can just handle more. So if you're using this for, like my buddy does, he has a landscaping business and he hauls his lawnmowers and stuff around all the time. And if you're using it for something like that, the Tundra is going to win that hands down. There's really no argument there for that. So we're going to go ahead and say 2 Tacoma, 2 Tundra. Next is tech. The Tacoma beats it in tech. It really does. If you like tech, the Tacoma has more tech than the Tundra does. The Tundra is starting to catch up next year, and probably the remodel the year after that will be even caught up even more. But as it sits right now, I have a Platinum Edition Tundra. There's not much more you can get in this vehicle that they offer. I don't think there's anything else you can get in here they offer. And the Tacoma just has more tech. I mean, it has a charging port in the bottom where you can throw your phone down there and it'll charge your phone for you. You know, it just has so much more tech. I mean, it just does. It has outlets in the bed. I mean, there's just more tech in the Tundra in the Tacoma, sorry, than in the Tundra. Now, I have a theory about this, and it's not going to, we're going to go ahead and give a point to the Tacoma here, but my theory has always been, if you watch the channel, technology kills reliability. I am a firm believer in that. Most things that I've had go wrong with new vehicles has been technology related, tech related. So I'm a firm believer that tech kills reliability. But, you know, if you're in it for the tech, we have to give the Tacoma a point. So we're now 3-2 for the Tacoma. Room. The Tundra obviously has more room. We talked about that earlier. It obviously has more room, which is why I bought the Tundra. We talked about the first of the video. This thing is cavernous. It is bigger than the F-150 I had before it. There's just so much room in this. I'm like 6'3". I can sit in the back seat and there's still like 6 or 8 inches from my knees to the back seat, and that's with the seat all the way back. So there is no argument at all. By the room in this is amazing. The Tacoma is a mid-sized truck. It can't even compare when it comes to room. So now we have 3-3, even game. Materials. You know, they're both metal trucks. We've not went to aluminum yet. Who knows if Toyota's going to do that like Ford did. But you have a metal bed in the Tundra. That just makes me feel better for some odd reason. I don't know why that is, but it just makes me feel a little bit better about throwing something in the bed. I've never heard anybody complain about the Tacoma's bed. Now, I have owned a Tacoma in the past. It had a metal bed. I did not own one of the composite bed Tacomas. But, you know, if I throw something really heavy in that bed, is it going to dent it? Is it going to stress that plastic? I just don't know. For me, it's a point to the Tundra for having a metal bed. And this is a bigger truck. More people would use this for working. You know, I would have to believe if that composite was stronger than the steel, that it would be in this truck, simply because people that use this truck for work purposes would want the stronger bed. So I would have to believe that the steel bed is more capable, but I don't know that because I've not done enough testing. So I'm really not going to give a point to either one. It all depends on what you're looking for. If you're not going to use this truck for work purposes, then a composite bed is probably better for you because it'd be lighter and it may help with mile per gallon. And who knows, maybe one day they put a composite bed on a Tundra just to help with the MPG and bring that up just a little bit. But I don't know enough about that composite bed to say yay or nay on it, so I'm not going to give a point to either one. But really, that's the main difference in materials, other than like the platinum, like Lexus grade leather seats. That is a huge plus. But do you need that? Not really. I do enjoy it, but you don't really need it. And that's not enough for me to say advantage Tundra. So we're still going to call that a wash. So still 3-3. Now we go to power. And this is what is going to edge out the Tundra for the win on what we're going over today. You obviously have a bigger motor. You have the 5.7 liter V8. The Tacoma has the little 6-cylinder in it. You're going to get more power in the Tundra. Yes, this is a heavier vehicle, but this thing has some juice. You throw it in tow haul mode and you are gone. I mean, it's swift. I mean, it runs pretty good. And I've heard a lot of people say, and in my Tacoma, it was a little bit lackluster on the engine. Even the new Tacomas, I hear people talk about how they wish they had a little bit more power. And you don't hear a lot of people say, man, I wish my Tundra had a lot more power, because they're pretty peppy from the way they are. Now, you see people put superchargers on them and stuff like that, and you can put a supercharger on a Tacoma as well. But straight out of the box, most people are pretty happy with their Tundra straight out of the box power-wise. So that actually gives a nod to the Tundra. So the Tundra actually wins out on this list 4-1. Now, that's a really close race. 1 point is not definitive in all this. There was a lot of these categories that was close. The room and the power really wasn't close categories, but everything else, you know, was fairly close. So what's right for you? You have to determine this yourself, really. But, you know, what are you going to do with the truck? Are you going to use it for work? If you are, obviously the Tundra is what you're going to want. But if you're going to be towing stuff or hauling something, lawnmowers like my buddy does, whatever it may be, trailers, if they have any size to them or weight to them at all, you're obviously going to want to go with the Tundra. If you're going to do more off-roading with it, overlanding, you know, weekend trips in the mountains, the Tacoma is probably more for you because it is more nimble. It is smaller in every dimension. And it's just more capable of getting in and out of those tight places. So if that's what you're looking for, the Tacoma is probably right for you. You know, if you want that off-road capabilities, just throw you some better tires on it than what the Tacoma comes with. Throw you some sliders on it so you don't mess up the cab, and then go to work on them trails and off-roading and hills and mountains and everything like that, because like I said before, it is more capable than the Tundra is. Like I said, you have to decide what's best for you. Only you know what you're looking for in a truck, and you can't go wrong with either one of them, in my opinion. And they'll both probably last you 300,000 or 400,000 miles if you take care of them, do your maintenance on them, and do your oil changes. Appreciate you watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you guys next time.